acumen extends to various other entrepreneurial ventures, including digital printing, cement distribution, and security services. Additionally, Dr. Baden dedicates his efforts to philanthropy as the CEO of Kiddies Niddies Smile, a non-profit organization supporting children and the elderly. Dr. Baden's academic journey is a testament to his commitment to continuous learning and professional development, reflected in his impressive qualifications spanning from Bachelor of Technology in Clinical Biochemistry to Doctorate in Business Administration. His doctoral thesis focused on plastic mitigation strategies in the beverage industry, studies in Ghana, has been a real contribution in the field of sustainability and has set a undisputed benchmark. We are very glad to have you here in this forum, Dr. Baden, and I give this platform over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Priya. I'm very grateful to everybody in Athena and all the other associated universities. I'm grateful that you gave this opportunity for me to talk about my research work in the area of plastics. I'm grateful to all of you, Dr. Shreel, almost all of them. They've been so helpful in my journey in the research area. All of them have been very grateful. I'm very grateful to all of you for everything you have done. Thank you very much. So let's zoom into action and talk about the subject of plastics. I hope my screen is visible to all.
No, not yet, not yet. Can you please share the screen?
Okay, all right, then let me share the link. Let me do the screen share. Okay. We're good?
It's visible. Can you please put it in full screen mode? Perfect. Perfect.
All right, good. All right. So we're going to talk about the plastic-free futures. In fact, it's all about what plastic will be in the nearest future and the duties you and I have to play, what we need to do in the area of our own attributes, what we are going to do to help stem the problem of plastics. So I'm going to talk about, I hope, all right, okay, all right. So I'm going to talk about plastics and why you should choose the planet over plastic. Every one of us have a duty in going to deal with the plastics in the global sense, whether you are in Africa, you are in Asia, you are in Europe, wherever you are, you have a duty. And you and I must be part of the duty to curb the plastic. So this presentation aims to bring everybody on board, wherever you are in this world, that the need to deal with plastics for the benefit of mankind, for the benefit of the planet, for the benefit of each and every one of us. This is the reason for this presentation, why we need to do away with plastics so that we will have a better future, so that our health will be sustained. So why is there so much plastic, and why is plastic all over the place? You and I know that plastics is common everywhere, especially in Africa. We use plastic for almost everything. In my home country in Ghana, we use plastic for water, we use plastic for food, we use almost everywhere you move, there's plastic. And when you move into the garbages and the gutters and the drainage we have here in Ghana, almost most of them are filled with plastics. And these plastics find their way everywhere. When it rained some years ago, when it rained, all these plastics gathered, and it caused a huge flood in our country, especially in the capital, Accra, and killed almost 150 people. And it was linked by research to the plastics and all the garbages that come into the drain when it rains. The rain gathers a lot of plastics and other garbage into our streams, and then it overflows, and we have problems in our hand. This problem is not only in Africa, it is not only in Ghana, it is not only in Asia, it is a worldwide phenomenon. The only thing is that some people are managing it better than others. And so my aim is to help get us to understand these things. And the reason why these plastics are prospering, or it is all over the place, is because majorly because of cost. Plastic is cheaper than all the other containers that may be used for packaging items. And because of the cheap nature of it, because it is cost effective, most companies will prefer to use plastic than any other packaging material. It is lightweight, and so you can carry it everywhere. You can have it in your bag, you can carry it in your hand, you can go everywhere with it. And so it becomes like so easy to be used. And so most people prefer that. It is very durable. Plastic is very durable. And so these are some of the few ones I can mention, but plastic has an extensive use. It is a ubiquitous product used everywhere by everybody. And so it is easier to prosper because people like it. And so it's always used by many people. But looking at all the uses that plastic has, what is it causing? I am sure most of us do not know. We have no idea the extent to which plastic is a menace. So, what is the plastic menace? Approximately 8 million tons of plastic waste end up in the oceans each year. 8 million tons of plastics. And it is going to double by the year 2040. This is a research work. So it tells you that it is not ending any moment soon, and plastic is going to cause harm to the ecosystem. Plastic is causing a lot of harm to the ecosystem. The food chain is disrupted, and for many years, plastic will stay in the soil. When you dump the plastic in the ocean or wherever, if you finish drinking your fruit juice or your water and you throw it out there, you think that is it, but that plastic would take hundreds of years to decompose, which means it's not going to get out of the system in the shortest possible time. And that tells you that it is going to affect wildlife as well. Many of the animals who are sustaining the ecosystem, the whale, the dolphins, the turtles, all of them contribute to the ecosystem. And if these animals ingest the plastics, it leads to suffocation, and sometimes, most times, they die out of suffocation due to the plastics that they inhale or they swallow in. So most plastics affect the habitat of animals, of most of these animals. When these plastics gather around their habitat, they are forced to move. And so animals that are of essence to the habitat or to the society are driven away because plastic takes their place, and they move out of where they are to be because the plastic sticks. Tourism is also affected because when you come to my beaches in Accra and some of the other areas in Ghana, plastics have taken over the places. And I, for one, do not go to the beaches because of these things. The plastics are all over the place, and so you'll be swimming along with the plastics whilst you want to have fun. Apart from all these effects of plastics on the habitat and on human, the effect on children, the effect on other things, it has been found scientifically that microplastics are actually found in the bloodstreams. And scans have also shown that even the fetus, the baby in the womb, there has microplastics have been found in the fetus of babies in the womb, where ultrasound scans have shown these particles, these small, tiny particles in that baby. It tells you the extent to which this plastic is affecting humans. When a baby is born and has microplastics, it tells you all the biochemistry reactions that can be affected because of this microplastic. So the plastic, in essence, is going to affect humans. It's going to cause more harm to human beings in the nearest future. Reactions and all the effects it has on humans cannot be quantified, because in the long run, these plastics, it's not only affecting the environment, it's not only affecting what we eat, it's not affecting what we drink, but it's even affecting the children we intend to have in the nearest future. So the plastic menace is huge. You and I need to deal with these plastics. It takes effort. And so you must know that when you throw plastic out there, it is not just throwing it away, but it is going to have effect, not just on the environment, but even the future of the human race. Okay. So what are the businesses doing? You and I know that a lot of the businesses in Ghana, outside there, they are dealing with plastics, and nobody is stopping them. They are churning out plastics in large quantities. All the big companies that produce fruit juice, the fizzy drinks, all of them produce them in PET plastic. And the research I did in Ghana, of the 4 major firms that produce plastics, as in the plastics that produce in Ghana here for water and for the fizzy drinks, for the 4 firms that I worked on, they produce approximately 150,000 metric tons of PET plastic. 150,000 metric tons of plastic, PET plastic. So it tells you that the businesses are making their money from the products they produce, but the effect of their end product, the plastic that they spew out, is causing a lot of havoc. And these plastics are not ending soon. They keep producing and producing and producing each and every day, every single day. This 150,000 is single day production of plastic. And this is just for 4. And I'm talking about almost 58 producers, big companies. Apart from the smaller ones who do the smaller products, smaller drinks, these big companies, what I'm talking about are big companies. I chose 4, but there are about almost 58 who are producing this. In my research, this is one of the questions I asked. Have you ever refused to buy beverage because it was packaged in an unsustainable container? And this is the results I got. Yes, only 8 people have refused. In other words, people do not even have an idea of the effects of the plastics on the environment. And for that matter, they keep buying the plastics, they keep buying the plastics, and they keep buying the plastics. Because all the product, whether you like it or not, the water is put in bottled water. So you need to buy it. So you will buy it anyway. And so nobody has refused. In fact, only 8% out of 100, only 8 out of the 8% were able to say that they refused to buy because it was packaged in a plastic bottle. It tells you that people are not aware, and even if they are aware, they are unconscious. They are not making any effort to change their buying attitude. The other thing is whether people have sought out environmentally friendly products when buying their beverages. That was the question, whether they have. And obviously, a whole lot of them do not go for it. They don't look out for products that are eco-friendly. Most people just buy. They have no idea whether it is in plastic or it's not sustainable. Most people have no idea of that as to wanting to buy it because it is eco-friendly or it's not eco-friendly. Most people do not look for that when they buy. It tells you that most people do not and are not aware, and even those who are aware are continuously using plastic, buying plastic, making use of plastic without any thought of the effect it has on the environment. Now, this is what we are to do. We have to go global. There is a global movement towards
Dr. Sammy? There's a slight technical glitch at the speaker's end. We shall be resolving it really soon. Give us just 2 minutes time. Hello, Dr. Sammy. You're back. We can hear you now.
yeah, yeah, we can go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. We can go.
Yeah. Can
Thank
you
you.
can you please
So
reshare your presentation?
come again.
Can you please reshare your presentation?
Okay, okay.
Perfect. Yes. You may please continue.
Okay, all right. So the idea is, what do we do? We know of these problems. We know of what is happening. So what do we do? And these are the things I advocate for. The global village we live in must take action because it's not affecting only Africa. It is not affecting only the developed countries. Our oceans are linked. And so whatever is dumped in the Ghanaian ocean can find its way in Australia. So we all must come together and fight this plastic menace. So I'm advocating that the worldwide campaign must be done to help curb this. Governments and nations must stand up for these plastics to help deal with it and stop the problem of the plastics. In our individual communities, I advocate for beach cleanups, for recycling drives. We as a people, as a community, must decide that we are going to deal with plastics. Individual communities must come together to deal with the plastics menace to help stop it. Individually, within the communities, we must deal with this and help the world deal with plastics. The companies that are involved in the production of plastics must also be dealt with. I'm going to deal with them as to what they must do because it was part of my research work, and then come to the individual choices. So this is what I am advocating for these companies to do. First of all, when you look at the plastic that we drink from, I am using the Ghanaian setting. Now, this plastic, most bottles are heavy, they are bigger. The amount of plastic you use in the production of this will have effect on the environment. So companies that produce these plastics, for now that they have not banned the use of it, they must reduce the amount of plastic that are used for this. My research showed that most of the Ghanaian companies, the 4 Ghanaian companies are doing well in this area. Their plastics are lightweight. They are not so heavy compared to the international bottles. These companies here in Ghana are doing well with regards to the type of plastic they are using. It must be eco-designed. Eco-design means when you look at this bottle, you see that there are rings around it. It is not for fun. It's supposed to help make this plastic collapsible. So when you finish drinking it, you should be able to, like that. You have to clasp it together, make it look smaller. Yes, this is good for recycling. So when you finish drinking, you do that. Then you close it. Make sure that you add this stuff to it, and then you put it in the bin. Now, the company, this part I'm talking about is the company must make the bottle so that you can collapse it. That is the recommendation. The companies must make the bottle. Most companies I work on, they had their bottles like this. Major companies in Ghana, their bottles are good enough to, but there are still some I found, some companies whose bottles were very hard and very thick, and we advise that they work on that. Now, the use of tinted caps, I'm talking of this bottle joined to here. They must join it so that when you shouldn't be able to remove this one. As I have taken it out, it shouldn't be possible to take it out. It should always be stuck to it. That is a recommendation of the European Union. It is the new trend that they are bringing, that all bottles should have their caps attached to it permanently, so that this one doesn't have, it finds its way somewhere, and this also finds its way somewhere. That is the recommendation by the UE, and from 2024, they are going to implement it. So all companies that produce these type of bottles must have it attached to it permanently. So we are hoping that the companies will adhere to it. This is something they are not doing. In fact, my research found out that most companies are both in Europe and in Africa, in Ghana, and all the bottles have these caps away from the main bottle. And that is not okay because they want all the bottles at one place. That makes it easier. Otherwise, this one will go cause harm, even if you have this one away. Okay. So the seal. Now, when you look at the picture here, the seal there must be removed because itself causes a lot of havoc. when you remove it, most times when you just ask now, when I remove the seal from here, I discarded that. That will also find its way somewhere. But the seal is actually not doing much work here. So there's no need keeping it and adding to the plastic waste that we have. Now we must also have recyclable labels. The label around here, this label must be recyclable. And I found out that most of the companies here, their labels are good enough and they are recyclable. So that is good for the companies. Now there can also be label-free bottles. You can just put the labels on the bottle direct. You can print it on the bottle. Unfortunately, that is more expensive, and so most companies do not do that. Now, refillable bottles. These are bottles, they are more like jars. They are kept in companies so that when you enter a company, you use a paper cup and you fetch water from it instead of using some of these bottles that will cause more harm. So the companies are encouraged to produce more of that to serve at least the companies so that every company, the workers may just use that kind of refillable bottles instead of having individual plastic bottles with them all the time and cause more harm. Life cycle analysis are done on these bottles. These are company technicalities. They do it to find out which one is good to use, and it's also very good for them when they do. Now, for companies, I'm talking about sustainable champions. Sustainability champions are people in companies who advocate for sustainability in their companies. My research found out that a lot of these companies do not have sustainability champions at all. They don't have people who deal with sustainability issues. So most of these companies, they blend the the PRs with the sustainability. Their sustainability is more like just a talk shop, but they need champions in their companies who will imbibe the sustainability itself within the company cycles. That is what I recommend that these businesses do. They must also do a lot of education, training their employees about plastics so that every individual in the company is aware of the effect of these plastics. They must also have effective waste disposal. Most of these companies do not dispose their bottles, their plastic bottles effectively, causing harm to the society. Cleanup exercises, if they are organized by these companies, will help. They will go from one place to the other and give incentives for people who will help in the cleanup exercises. Then these will help with people joining in. They also have the policy called the Take Back programs, where they take bottles that are used, they go around and then they pick them. Some companies are doing it, and we encourage the other companies to do it. There's also artificial intelligence. Work such that there are robots who are able to pick specific bottles and take them out. And then it helps to deal with these bottles effectively. What the community can do. I've talked about that at length, but these are sustainable alternatives to plastics. You can use biodegradable materials, reusable products, as I said initially, the water bottles, the grocery bags, the food containers, all of them, they are alternative paper bags and stuff that can be used. And they have innovative recycling also. These are alternatives to plastic that may be useful to all of us. Now, advocacy and policy changes. These are things that must be done at the governmental level and also at the corporate level. As part of corporate social responsibility, companies are encouraged to do that. Then communities must also do public awareness campaigns. They must go out there and let people know. My research mostly targeted students in the tertiary schools. Unfortunately, even at the tertiary level, a whole lot of them have no idea what it's about. They don't know the effect of plastic. Some have just heard it, but really have no idea how plastic can cause a lot of havoc to people. Yeah, so on the individual level is what I am interested in mostly. The companies do the advocacy, they will do the bigger outreach, they should do the bigger campaigns. But individually, as a person, what must you do? What part do you play in bringing about the whole thing? Your part as an individual, what should you do? What are you doing as an individual? And this is what I am strongly advocating for the use of these bottles, coffee cups, and grocery bags. You as an individual, you must be conscious of the fact that any item you buy, anything you want to purchase, you think of sustainability, you think of the plastic effects on the environment. Think of the unborn child, that when you are buying any item and there is an alternative one, you go for it than the plastic. As an individual, within your company, within your settings, within your church, what are you telling the other people? We must take up the mantle of telling them about plastic, of making them know that the long-term effect of plastic is on humans, it's on you and I, that if we don't do anything about plastics, it will affect us. So individually, one in your own corner, as I said, when you finish taking this bottle, make sure you handle it properly individually. That is your job. You need to have this bottle placed at the right part. When you finish, make sure this one, you don't throw this one away and throw that one away and think that is the end of it. No, unfortunately, a lot of people in our vehicles in Ghana and other African countries, I know, these bottles are dumped anywhere. You just finish and they throw it out of the car. They throw it anywhere. And this is causing a lot of havoc. You have to, as an individual, possibly you don't do that, but you must be an advocate so that when somebody is in a car and he throws this thing out of the window, you, the one sitting by him, will tell him, hey, guy, that is not right. You are causing havoc. You are going to cause the death of a fetus. You are going to cause cancers. You are going to cause a woman to have her fallopian tube blocked. Research has shown that it has effect on women and they are childbearing. These plastics that you don't think a minute about is causing a lot of women to go barren. So you have to, by your own individual approach, also work at it. Tell somebody to stop throwing that rubber, as we call it here. Stop throwing it away. Stop dumping it anywhere. Just make sure that you do your part. When you finish drinking, as I demonstrated, just press it down like that and then cover it and put it in the bin. In the bin, segregate the plastics from the other components of the bin. Don't add all plastics with the other things. You can separate them and then give it away. Unfortunately, in our settings here, people, even the garbage collectors, they collect every garbage and mix them together and give it out. There are no companies who are specifically dealing with plastics. It's unfortunate, but that is the system we have here. So even if you as an individual, you gather them, who to give becomes a problem. But when you do that and you put them in one container and give it to the rubbish collector, he will deal with it separately. And that is what each one of us must do as individuals to help. The second point is you as an individual, must also help to avoid the use of plastics by using reusable bottles. So you can have one bottle that you use for water so that you fill it, you drink it, you fill it, you drink it for a period of time, and then you can change to another. In that sense, you will be able to avoid the use of these plastics. There are some people who take about 10 of these in a day. They take this is 500 ml bottle, and they take about 10 of it. So come to think of it, if you are using a refillable bottle that you walk around with, you will definitely will not be dumping these 10 every day. So do the calculations. If you are taking even 5 of these a day, and all of them find themselves into the environment, multiply that and see, this is 5 in a day. And you are talking about 35 in a week, 5 days, or so if it's 7 days, you are talking about 35 of days in 1 week. Multiply that by a month, multiply that by a year, and think of the number of these bottles you have dumped into the environment and the effect they are going to have after dumping them. They're going to be staying there for years, hundreds of years. These bottles will not go away. They will not decompose. So if you are putting 5 of these every day into the environment, and for hundreds of years, these bottles are in the environment, you can talk about how much effect it is causing to people. So individually, let's work at this and deal with it, segregate it, and we should also advocate in our companies and tell the people there that these bottles are having effect. And so if the company should do, they should help you. They can put a jar there in the company, and that will serve everybody. They only need to fill it with potable good water for the company, and everybody can drink from it with a paper cup, so you don't use this anymore. If we fight and are able to deal and do away with these bottles, we will be able to force the companies to have alternative means of packaging their water and therefore eliminating this one. I am hoping that this lecture or this presentation will be able to sink into somebody's heart and will be able to take action every minute of the way, every time of your buying, anytime you are buying something and it is packaged, you must think of where the bottle is going. If it is plastic, should I buy it? Should I not? If we come together not to buy, not to go for, or go for alternative ones that are good enough and that are okay for the environment, in our individual ways, we will be helping to prevent these plastics going into the environment and causing a lot of havoc. I can tell you for a fact that big companies who produce these beverages, they are not stopping any moment soon. And we have to be truthful to ourselves. These companies pay their way, and so they are able to produce it worldwide from all the big companies, from Pepsi, Coca-Cola, all the big companies. They all produce this, they make their money, but the effect on the environment are not counted for. They may be doing some sustainability measures. It's a talk shop. I must be straight with you. They are not dealing with the plastics. And we as individuals must stand worldwide to fight against these plastics that are causing so much havoc to people. It is difficult to link the effect of this plastic, especially when it comes to women and their fertility and the effect it's causing them, because there is no direct link, and the research is scanty on how much of these plastics are having effect on productivity. We are not doing so much, and individually we are not working to get rid of these plastics. If we don't, and we don't do our work individually and as a community and as a country and as a global village, we are going to be stuck with plastic. There's always a better alternative. There's always a better choice. If these plastics are causing harm, then you and I have a duty. We need to help curb the plastic. And it takes you and I to do it. If we are going to work and individually in our own way, be able to deal with the plastic, then in the community level, we will also advocate. Then in the companies, they will also do their part. And in the long run, we'll be able to deal with plastic. And so we deal with this plastic. The effect of plastics on humans will be there. And you and I will have to admit that we were part of the problem. You and I, we must deal with this. The change begins with us, and we must commit to choosing the planet over plastic. In our daily lives, we must come together individually, consciously say no to plastics. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sammy. And that has been such an enlightening session. Along with me, I know that all our participants have loved your presentation. The questions are pouring in, and I love the way you demonstrated how exactly practically should we crush a bottle and dispose the same. It does show how passionate you are behind this cause, and we have questions pouring in across the globe, and the participants are appreciating your effort, the genuine initiative that you have taken to address this problem in Ghana, but they are addressing in separate parts of the world as well. So, congratulations on successfully completing the presentation, and the participants have loved it. The questions are pouring in. I have more than 50 plus questions with me, and I'm going to start right away with them. The first question is that a participant of ours have asked, do you think that such knowledge of how exactly should you dispose of plastic, it's a very basic thing if we talk on layman terms, but do you feel that such kind of knowledge should be introduced at school level itself, so that the children are educated for a better future and for a sustainable future, if I may put it across that way?
Very good. That's a very great question. I'm happy for that question because that is exactly the reason for this presentation. We must incorporate the training and the use of this, the understanding of plastic itself must be part of the curriculum, even from the very basic level, from KG. The child must know even how to dispose of plastics. The child must be taught that. So it is very necessary. The understanding of plastics, especially in our part of the world where education is not very high, it must even be taught at home. It must be part of the programs of radio stations and TV stations. They must deal with plastics to the individuals in the local languages. They must be taught. Most people are doing it because they actually have no idea the effect it has on the environment. In one of the responses to my research questions, the students who are supposed to know much, really their problem was education. A lot of their responses was that there must be a lot of education on plastic. It tells you that a lot of them, the questionnaire exposed their lack of knowledge of what the plastic effect is. So even if the student at tertiary level universities do not know about these things, then definitely it must sink down to the ground level and even to the individuals at home. The ordinary person on the street must be taught that. And with that, it will help to conscientize them and have a way to abstain from using plastics. I hope I answered that right.
I certainly am that you have answered the question for the participant. The next question is a very interesting question, Dr. Sami, where the participant is asking, what if he or she keeps an expensive plastic bottle?
I didn't get that. Like he
The
wants.
participant is asking, what if they keep and reuse an expensive plastic bottle? So they might have got some
I understand that. I understand that. The aim is to do away with plastic fully. But in our situation, if you keep one bottle, that can serve to eliminate these bottles let's say you use one bottle and it can eliminate about thousands of days. It is equally a way to go. Having one that can, if, for example, you are going to use a bottle that is made of plastic and refill it, and it will eliminate, as I gave the example, if this you are going to use 35 of this in a week, and you are able to use one to serve that purpose, I think it's a step in the right direction than the use of the 35. So if you're going to keep one expensive bottle and then you're going to be able to eliminate a lot of these bottles, so be it. That is good. But I advocate for maybe a flask of a salt where you can put your water into. Maybe it's made of metal. It's better than the use of that plastic. But if you have one that will eliminate a lot of plastics in the near future, I mean, it's the right thing in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The next question is, when it comes to business cooperation or collaboration, and when it comes to environment sustainability, sustainable production of plastic products, what approaches can be made by big corporate companies such as Coca-Cola to tighten the purpose of renewable plastic bottles during their production phase and customer interaction?
Right. That's exactly the when it comes to these big companies, as I said, the problem has been how to deal with it. But because it is cheaper, because it is a cheaper option, it opens up the mindset of how do I make more profit? If he's going to use a plastic container and make more money, he will go for it rather than use another alternative that is more expensive. So we are hoping that these big companies will think of the humanity, let me put it that way, think of humanity so that they use the other alternative. They will reduce their profit, of course. They won't make as much as they are making now. But if the ultimate aim is to preserve humanity, is to help preserve humanity so that the future is safe for us as a people, they must take that action and use other alternatives instead of the use of the plastic. There are actually water bottles made of paper. They are inventions. The only thing is that it is more expensive, and because the companies must also make profit, so they will prefer the bottle rather the plastic bottle rather than the paper bottle. But if we will all go for it and fight it, in fact, the job is on us as individuals. If we fight the companies, if we get them, if we refuse to patronize their plastic bottles, they will be forced to use other alternatives. The problem is we are not doing enough advocacy. Everybody is kind of somebody else will do it. But if we all come together and deal with companies and refuse their plastic products, they will be forced to use the other alternatives that are eco-friendly. Yeah.
There are a lot of questions where there are many participants who want to collaborate with you, Dr. Sami, on ensuring that this message is spread as far as it could. So Next, if I would compile or if I would combine a lot of questions that are pouring in that surrounds around the role of government and the awareness pattern that these governments are using. No, these governments, all the governments are using against prevention of plastic use. Do you feel that the government plays a very pivotal role in ensuring the consumption of plastic is limited? Do you feel that if there are certain policies brought into place, uh, then the role of plastic would be used to the minimal extent? What is your point of view on that?
I went off a while. I didn't hear your question. If you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Sami. My question was there are a lot of questions which
Mhm.
covers around the points of what exactly is the role of government, and is there any pivotal role played by the government in ensuring use of minimum plastic in an economy? Do you feel that if the government brings in some tax concessions or some policy with some subsidies in place, that these companies would be utilizing less amount of plastic in comparison to what they are doing right now? What is your point of view on the government intervention role?
Exactly, exactly. If governments are going to take this thing up, it's actually the way to go. If government are convinced enough to really, first of all, give incentive to plastic manufacturers or any company that will want to go for alternatives, and give them that tax-free or even very good incentives that will make them produce or use alternatives. If government are going to invest in the manufacturing process so that instead of plastic, there are alternatives, the whole job really lies with government. The reason why it's difficult for government in our part of the world is the fact that government itself is compromised in such a way that these big companies influence government. They have a hand in how governments are run. And so it's difficult for that same government to deal with them. So many companies are freely producing because they always have their way around. In Africa, from the research I did, Rwanda is the only country that has banned plastic fully in Africa, the use of it. But even that, there are still some behind the scenes who are producing plastics. And it is the banning of plastics and everything has to do with government effort. Individuals cannot ban the plastics. Individuals cannot give alternatives. So if government would take it up, if they will push it for companies who go into alternatives, it will help a lot. It will go a very long way to curb the production of or bring it to a barest minimum. Yes. Government
I
are very, very necessary in this matter.
I totally agree with that. There's also a few alternatives that are being suggested by our participants. That a participant has suggested. Do you feel that these companies which are into using of plastic bottles for producing beverages should also start a subsidiary company which focuses on recycling of these bottles? A, and B, what exactly is the alternative of recycling? If they do not opt in for recycling, what is the approach that these companies should be using?
Okay. The first question has to do with whether these companies can alternatively be recycling. In fact, in my research work, some of these companies do have recycling firms. They recycle those who are producing the plastics for the water production and beverage production. They also have recycle firms where they recycle the bottles that come, they collect. Unfortunately, they are not able to collect enough of what they produce. So if, for instance, they are producing 1 million bottles in a day, the amount they recycle is barely less than 5% of what they have produced. So if you have 150,000 tons being produced by a company in one day, and out of that 150,000, the one they recycle in a day is less than 1,000. It tells you that even if you give them if you ask them to recycle, or if you are going to say their recycling will help, practically it is not helping. So the alternative of recycling is okay, but really it is not having as much effect as it should have. If even if it was like 50-50 or 60, they produce 100%, they recycle 70%. Even that we could take that, but they are actually, in fact, worldwide, according to research, only 9% of the plastic that are produced are recycled worldwide. Only 9%. So if you are only recycling 9%, it tells you that recycle, but it's really not having the effect it should have. And many plastics are found in the environment because the recycling is actually not being effective in dealing with the plastics. Yeah. There was a second question. Um, there was a second question of whether.
Is the alternative of recycling? If there
Yeah,
is recycling.
there are alternatives where they can, apart from the recycle, even though the recycle has been seen as the most effective now, and a bit of less expensive to other ones, the alternative of using either maybe glass or either the metals are also in itself more expensive. When they do their analysis, it's always a balance against them when it comes to the recycling. And that is why they would rather will invest into recycle than the other alternatives. The other alternatives are more expensive. For instance, they can use edible bottles where you actually don't throw anything away. In fact, the world is going into what we call the circular economy when it comes to plastics, so that the plastics are not thrown out. It goes through a circle and comes back into the system, more like a loop, so that you use and it is back into the system again. It doesn't go out of this. That is the way this world is moving into. We are hoping that it will be championed well, it will be properly done, so that will help. There are, as I said, the other alternatives are there, just that they are more expensive. We are going to do production of edible bottles so that you can eat the bottle as part of the product, the beverage or whatever.
Next
It's
question
the best.
was also surrounding on the same lines as to what is your thought process on edible drinking waters? What is your take on those?
Oh, it's good. It's the way to go. If that alternative is there, so that these bottles are eliminated, it is edible ones. But trust me, it is more expensive to produce those ones. As I said from the beginning, the reason why we are still stuck with these bottles is primarily the fact that it is cheaper. It is cheaper to produce this. The edible ones, the seaweed, there's research in those areas to use some of these organic products as edible bottles, so that you can, it is the way to go. Unfortunately, now in our system, the companies, the major companies are not ready to invest in that area. But it is a very good step if we are able to pursue that. Yeah.
I totally agree to what you said. Uh, my next take is that we are seeing involvement of AI in every field. You name a field and role of AI is there. So do you feel that in the field of sustainability, specifically in recycling of plastic, uh, do you feel is there any particular role of AI that you are observing, or do you feel that is there any dominant role of AI in the same?
Yeah, AI is doing a lot AI, and I'm praying and hoping that people will take up the AI seriously. AI is doing a lot in the area of these plastics. There are new technology where the AI is able to segregate all the garbage. For instance, it will help even in Africa here, where we lump all the bin into one bin. The garbage contains plastics, it contains metals, it contains any other item. We just in our homes, we just put all of them in one bin. But if with the AI, you are able to select the plastics from the bin, the AI can choose which ones, and the AI will ensure that these are selected, and it aids in being able to deal with the plastics. AI is very, 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 very critical in the ability to help deal with plastics. If AI just started, and not just started, but it's now being booming, and so I'm hoping that going forward, it will be used practically, even at homes and even in the offices and places to deal with plastic, so that it will there are the ones that I found out that with AI they are able to determine they are able to determine the particular sizes that will be able to contain the water. They are doing the companies are doing some, but the AI is able to tell and able to decide. With the AI, they can actually print on the plastic bottles instead of the ones that they all will come at a cost. The AI is good. The only problem is the cost. But going forward with the emergence of the AI, I'm sure as time goes on and AI is expanding, it will become easier to get some of these things easily. And AI will help a lot.
Nothing is free. Nothing comes free at cost. So that's
Exactly.
really
Exactly.
helpful.
And when you talk, of course, in Africa, it's you're really talking a lot of money. Yes, yes. Some of these things cost a lot. So companies are afraid to invest into them, and because unfortunately, as I said in the beginning, the mindset that well, what's the big deal? So if these companies invest into AI or any other methods, the problem is that they are not going to make their money because people will not buy the product because it is not eco-friendly. The transitioning from it, even if the company is capable of investing into these technologies, when they do and they get very eco-friendly materials, will it translate into people buying it? Because it will be more expensive. And our part of the world, water is water. He doesn't care whether you produce it eco-friendly or he just wants to take water. So that is a problem. If we are conscious about these things and we begin to buy because we have sustainability in mind, we will force the companies to produce. And they will also produce because people are conscious and they will buy. They are not changing because there's no pressure on them to do so. And they are not going to make profit. So they are not enthused. There's no incentive. There's no motivation to change because people are already buying the product anyway. These water bottles, people buy in large quantities on a daily basis. They are making their profit. So why should they change? But if pressure is coming from the one buying, and the one buying is also ready to sacrifice and pay a little more, then they will be ready to produce it in an eco-friendly container. Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't find a better way through which we could have explained that. So thank you so much. My last question to you, Dr. Sammy, which is a lot of questions from our participants as well. What next? How are you planning to take this knowledge that you have to the next level? How exactly are you planning to spread it across to a wider region, wider scope region?
Thank you very much for that question. Um, I the let me restate it. I came to this plastic research because I am a businessman and I wanted to produce water in plastic bottles. There are many of these products in Ghana here. So I had a mindset to produce one of these. In fact, it's lucrative. The feasibility studies I did show that I will make a lot of money if I go into the production of plastic bottle water. So that was the plan, that was the aim. But I also decided to research around that area so that it will make my work easier. It will make my production very good. So I've actually registered a company to do that production. Then I came into this research work and I found out the effect that plastic is having on people. And my research really opened my eyes so wide that I realized that I'll make money, I will enjoy the money, but the long effect is that I'm going to kill people. I'm going to have such a huge impact on society in terms of causing harm. And because of that, I put off that idea of doing that production. So that is one aspect of the fact that uh, I'm not just being an advocate. I am practically refusing to do business in that area because of the effect I came to find out that this wasn't good. Secondly, I intend to do a lot of advocacy. I want to be able to go down there, be able to deal in schools, public, on my Facebook page, and all my social media places. I want to link up with some of the radio stations and TV stations and be able to teach this to the individuals and make it part of their programming such a way, because that is the most effective way we can reach to the people through the media, through these radio stations and TV stations. Most of our people here, though we have a lot of them on the social media, the traditional media is still very effective in reaching out to people. And so I intend to do that, be able to link. Unfortunately, some of these stations do not understand the whole concept in the first place. So they're going to accept you to do it at the cost for without paying or not buying airtime to do that becomes a problem. But I'm sure that when the pressure is put out there and I do a lot of advocacies, I'll find my way into that media space and be able to champion this thing very well.
A lot of them also want to connect with you, Dr. Sammy, so that they can help you out in passing on this message or spreading this message across the globe. So, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, my email is kinbading@gmail.com. Kinbading, kinbading@gmail.com. KINGBAIDEN @gmail.com. I use Amikin Bading on Facebook, so you can reach me there. And then, so those two spaces, you can reach me there. When you search Amikin Bading, I'm the darkest one on Facebook, so you, you see my picture there, so you can reach me there, and we take it from there. Anyhow you want me to help in any form, I'm ready anywhere in this world that you reach me and need any knowledge around this area, I'll be available to help.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sammy. It was indeed a very delightful presentation and a very educative one as well. And as you said in the beginning, that UniAthena had a pivotal role in shaping your research. I would like the participants to understand a bit about what UniAthena is all about and how exactly and what exactly rather we do at UniAthena. So UniAthena is a edtech platform where we have around 2 million learners who do or take up different courses and upskill themselves. Why exactly UniAthena is preferable? Because we have around 1.5 million learners across 600 plus courses spread across 146 plus countries, having 10 plus partners, and giving an ROI of around 88% for the learners who participate in the same. We offer online programs which are affordable in nature for every learner who wants to upskill themselves. We were founded in 2019 and we are owned by the Westford Venture, which was originally known as Westford Education Group, and have been operating since 2008 in the education sector. By UniAthena, we have around 9 plus, 10 plus partnering universities. To name a few, you can see a few of them on the screen, through which we offer different courses available. Why UniAthena is because we have flexible payment options. We have 100% online material that you can access. It's a self-paced programs that you can access through, accredited through the university partners. We have personal tutors and academic associates dealing with you individually, and modular course delivery system is what we follow at UniAthena. We have few of the testimonials on screen from our learners, Dr. Tant Peitun, who has completed his doctorate degree, and another one from a learner from the MBA department. So you are welcome to explore the courses that we have to offer. Happy learning. We'll see all of you all across in the next rendezvous session next month. Thank you so much for participating.
Yeah.